spoiler alert warning. If you haven't seen Avengers Endgame yet, don't watch this video. Alright, so I hope you're gone if you haven't seen the movie yet. So, if you're still watching, hopefully you don't care too much about the movie being spoiled for you. Point is, there was a specific decision made with Thor in the movie that a lot of people are upset about, and it's that they made him fat. They're like, oh, he shouldn't be fat. And this is kind of a part of a bigger thing that I've seen complaints about. I talked about it briefly, but I've seen a lot of people that are crying, rather, about the first act of the movie being slow or being boring or whatever, being too drawn out. Here's the thing about the first act of the movie. I had a problem with Captain Marvel being set in the past and Ant-Man being set right before Infinity War because I wanted to see the world after the snap. I wanted to see how it affects everybody. But then Daredevil Season 3 and Punisher Season 2 take place before the snap, so we don't get to see any of it there. So Avengers Endgame was the only opportunity we had to see how the world is moving on after what Thanos did. We needed that. And the most important thing is that it affected each of the core Avengers in a different way. Which, of course, it would. They're all different characters. They've had different types of arcs. They've changed as people differently. For example, Captain America has started running a support group that's not even helping him. He's just trying to make sure everybody else can move on after what happened. Black Widow has become a workaholic. Hawkeye has become a serial killer that hunts down criminals like the Punisher. That type of character. Or Moon Knight, something like that. And the Hulk is like, hey, I'm going to better myself and move on as a human. I am worth more than what's going on right now, so I'm going to, I'm better off now. Iron Man has moved on with his life, started a family, accepted that maybe Iron Man isn't what the world needs, and he's like, okay, I'm just going to be a dad. I'm just going to be Tony Stark. And then Thor. Thor is the one that feels like he directly failed the most, because if he had not gone for Thanos' chest, he would have been able to prevent the snap. If he had gone for his head, he could have saved the universe. And so that's why their loss hits him harder than anybody else. And you can see it in his face when he says, I went for the head. You can see that there's guilt in his face, and it's going to be a thing for him later on in the movie. So when he shows up fat, it absolutely makes sense. He's been depressed for 5 years because he lost his mother, he lost his father, he lost his brother, he lost his people, he lost his home, and then he lost half the universe. He has failed at every step of the way according to how he sees himself. He is the ultimate failure. So it absolutely stands to reason that he would have let himself go, that he would have been engulfed by his depression following what happened. I don't see why people have such a problem with that. And it's not like it crippled him, you know. Sure, if he'd been in better shape, he probably would have been able to do better in the fight against Thanos, or he probably would have been able to use the gauntlet. But the thing is, he was still perfectly able-bodied enough to do damage to Thanos and survive the final battle. And he was still basically the same Thor with just a little bit of emotional baggage pulling him down, and hopefully participating in the resurrection of half the universe will forge his character into something new in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm expecting to see a more whole version of Thor the next time we see him. Now, I don't want his character arc to get ruined by him being in however many more movies, because Chris Hemsworth has said he will do as many Thor movies as Marvel will let him. I don't want them to screw him up because they want to just use him and use him and use him. As long as they don't do that, we should be fine. So hopefully this will clear up why Thor was the way Thor was in Avengers Endgame and defend the first act of the movie. Because people were even saying that the second act was boring. I'm like, the second act is when they were doing the time travel stuff. What are you talking about, bud? But you can't please everybody. So that's your lesson for today. You cannot please everybody. So don't even try. Don't please anybody. Please yourself. That didn't sound quite right. I'm gonna stop talking.
Bad boy, I need to dance. If I don't dance, no romance. Feel like dancing, dance with me. First dance is always free. Bad boy, I need to dance. If I don't